All right, hey guys. So let's take a look at some construction basics. Okay, so you've been gifted a couple things here. Number one, a bunch of popsicle sticks, big ones, and some masking tape and a ruler, blah, blah, blah. Okay, here's what we're gonna focus on. We're gonna focus on our ability to build basic construction stuff, okay? So to start with, I want you to look at these 3 sets of popsicle sticks that I've got. Here's the first one. Second one. And third one. Okay, now, if you need to rewind, please do. But just looking at 3, 2, and 1. Which of these do you think is going to do better at holding a weight? I'll give you a second to think about it. Think about all the different ideas behind construction we've been talking about, okay? So I'm gonna show you. Hopefully you made your guess and you have some reasons why. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hang this off the end here. Remember, when something's extended out, it's gonna experience more force, okay? So watch. Putting it at the end. So much that's bending. Now it's holding pretty well. Why is it holding pretty well? Well, I taped it pretty good, okay? And these are pretty sturdy little things, all right? So that was number 3. Here's number 2. Well, holding pretty well. Did fall off a little bit there. All right, you see how much that's bending? Yes? Okay. And then option number 3. Look, I put it all the way at the end on this one. Okay, so which of these 3 are better? Number 3. Why? Well, take a look at the back. You see that overlap, how extensive that is, and how tight that tape is. During this build, I want you to do a couple of simple things. Just some simple practices. I want you to practice overlapping and getting. We talked about it being possibly like a third of the way, okay? But you need to have, I feel like, at least a solid thumb in. Okay, like that's probably about where it needs to be. Okay, so put your thumb in, make sure it's crossing about that much. Now, when we tape this, we need to tape this aggressively, okay? Tape this together the way struggling couples try to tape their lives back together, okay? So take this, overlap it, again, try to get about a thumb's length there. You're gonna put the tape down on one side, and what we're gonna do, and I want you to practice this, like easily 3 or 4 times, and just make sure you're doing this right, okay? I want you to wrap this like tight. See, I'm pulling this hard to get it come around. And I really want to lay that on there, nice and tight. Here we go, boom. This is now almost 1 stick, okay? That's how tight that is, and that's how good the overlap is. Can you see that with blue and orange a little better? Okay, so this is where we need to be when we're building. We need to be building with overlap, tight tapes. Okay, you'll notice the bridge, which you were building, was looking pretty good with the general design, but the problem was too flimsy. Got to tape it tight and have the proper overlap. If you'd like to practice 1 or 2 of these, where you see right here, I'm going to show you. You see how it's only the very end pieces here, the very small little parts at the end that are overlapped. If you want to practice that and kind of get a feel for how bad it is, that's probably not a bad idea. But I want you to focus on building 3 or 4 of these well, solid, and tight, and make sure they feel good. When you get that, you can move on to the next task. The next task is going to be building triangles. Okay, the base structure, we're gonna build a tower, but we're gonna build this a base tower of, or tower with a base structure of a triangle. Okay, now I'm not as concerned with how tightly you tape the bases because these corners are always gonna be a nightmare, okay? What we can do is, as we kind of add different features to these, we can start taping more aggressively. For right now, what I'm probably gonna do is keep this simple, and I can always tweak it more as we go. I'm going to overlay my tape like so on the end, so it's a little bit sticking up top. And then I'm going to lay that over the red stick like so, okay? And try to solidly bend these two down. Okay, so it should look something like this. Okay, the start of our triangle. Now, the next thing we want to do is continue here with our equilateral triangle. We're going to try to get this piece here. Okay, try to get nice, even angles all the way through. And again, the process is straightforward. If we're trying to do this fast and we're making this base, again, using the outside and wrapping around. Okay, but again, don't do it super loosey-goosey. Make sure this is on nice and tight. Okay, and then wrap it around the sides here. Okay. And it will be flimsy. Why? Well, mainly because we've only put it on one side of this thing. That's okay. Once we connect this third part together, okay, it'll become a lot more solid. So again, place it on the end, out over the top, and lay it down. Try to get point to point right there. It's hard for me to see when I'm trying to show you at the same time, but try to get those points to overlap, down, and then wrap it around. Okay. Now, you might be asking yourself, why are we making it like this? You see how that stands up on this side, on its side like that? Well, mainly because when we start putting in these other sticks, we need some way to like lodge them together. If the sticks are flat, you see there's not much you can do to kind of overlap these. All right, so we're gonna actually stand up the edges with these popsicle sticks, okay? Now, you should have 3 or 4 good ones like this, all right? If you have 3, what's convenient is you can actually start placing them inside, like so, okay? Now, it depends on how aggressively you overlap. You see this overlap is different from this overlap, so these two are not the same length. You'd want to get them about the same length, okay? But what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna start laying them on the inside here. And again, you can tape more aggressively as you go, but for the purpose of time, we're in a time crunch, we want to make sure that we are tight, but it doesn't have to be too aggressive here. We can always adjust these connectors as we go. So again, I'm just kind of looping it through and around and making sure it's standing nice and straight. Okay, so again, I'm gonna go to the next corner, and I'm not gonna try to do it I'm trying to do it in the same corner of each. So right here, it's on the front right corner here. So I'll do it on the front right corner here for this one, okay? And again, putting it down and trying to get this nice and even on the bottom. I'm going to try to flip this around. And cover the back of the stick. Okay, they're gonna be real wobbly and flimsy because they're not attached to anything. Just make sure they're standing up as straight as you can. And I'll kind of show you what it looks like on the inside. If you can see, I've taped it around and up onto that stick. Again, there's the back, and then the inside looks like that, up and around on it. Okay, so I'm gonna do that for, is this one okay? This is okay. That's way too tall. All right, so we try to do that for all 3 sides, and then eventually we'll get to this stage. Okay, so as you can see here, I've gone 3 sticks high, and what I did essentially was very simple. I built my first triangle, I built a second triangle, and then my job was basically to connect those 2 triangles and see how high I can go. All this depends upon time. I don't know necessarily how long you'll have for each thing, but what I start with, and what I recommend you do is this. Set a timer for like 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes. Maybe try the longer times and then see if you can get shorter. And see how many of these you can kind of link up. So build 2 triangles at the start, okay? And then as you kind of pay attention to your time while you're building, see how much time you can add, how many times you can think you can add extensions on this. This will get us higher and higher. Okay, now once I did get these 3 things connected, and you can kind of see again, I've got the nice overlap here, and obviously I tighten those real tight all the way around the sides, okay? And as you notice, it comes up, and the top of this, it's harder to see maybe from that angle, is actually pretty flat, nice and smooth. I don't want it tilted or leaning, I want it nice and flat, Okay, now you'll notice some of my popsicle sticks stick out further than others, and that's because some of the overlaps that I did were not consistent. You had to be consistent with the overlaps. Otherwise, as you can see here, you'll get end pieces, where's a good look, perspective, end pieces will not be the same height, and that makes it harder for them to kind of work together. So again, keep that thumb level of consistency. Make sure it's overlapped by a thumb, your thumb, okay? And keep that consistent. Now, regardless, I made sure that I taped, again, over and around, try to get as many different points of security here as possible. In fact, you can kind of see, I can actually see a problem here on this, where it's not, you see right there, how it comes out? It's wobbly. I need to get some more tape secured on there. Alrighty. Nice and tight and aggressive. Okay, aggressive taping, nice and tight. Now, we don't have that problem anymore. Okay, very good. No twisting. Oop, there's a little twist here. Again, you can kind of evaluate them as you go. Give them a twist and see, because we don't want any torque. When that thing starts getting a little bit of weight, it's gonna start to twist. Flip that around, maybe that will keep that nice and tight. Okay, yeah, there we go. No twisting now. All right, so this should be nice and flat. And you'll notice here, I put my triangle, I took these just two popsicle sticks, and I kind of laid them out. You could do it like over one part and then over these two parts. I considered that, using that point, like laying two triangles over like this, okay? Or excuse me, the two parts over like this. But you see, all that weight would be on one of these struts. So what I felt was better was to have it like this, where it's kind of over. I don't know that matters. I don't know. It seemed important at the time. You're doing great, Dr. Ellis. Okay, keep it up. Positive self-talk. Okay, so anyways, now we've got this up over here, all right? And it's nice and even and flat, all right? It is a little off-center, but let's see how this works. So I'm putting it on top. Now, what I want you to look at is the general construction of this, right? And according to our basic construction principles, I've done a pretty good job of overlapping and tying tight. So as you can see, it's standing. It's not having any problem standing. Okay, I've used the same geometric structures, right? So I have a triangle, which is a good structure for building. So we got tight tape, overlaps, basic structural design, right, and shape. What's the one other part that I'm missing here? You should know, okay? What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna start putting some marbles into this and kind of seeing what happens, all right? And you should already be able to tell what's gonna happen, and I don't know, I've never done this before, so we'll see. Let's start dropping them in. Oop. Make sure that stays. Now you can already kind of tell it's dropping in, it's starting to wobble. Wobble, 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 wobble. Ooh, saved it. I could have caught it. Okay, I'll let you rewind the film and kind of see where that happened, but what you might have noticed is it started to, you see that right there? It started to give, right, and bend. And why does this happen? What am I missing? Say it out loud. Bracing. Yay, that's it, bracing. Okay, cool. So we have a couple things we can do for our bracing, all right? Now, it's gonna be tricky to brace with how these popsicle sticks are. Why? Because sometimes they're nice and evenly lined up, but for the most part, they're gonna be at awkward angles to each other, but it doesn't matter. Just find where you can put it across a little bit, all right? And we're gonna tie that. We're gonna try to get that nice and as tight as we can, okay? That way the supports can help each other. All right, let's try this. I'm gonna get a lot of tape here, because I got a lot, and again, we're not necessarily worried about time right now, we're worried about principles of construction. So let me tape this over here. Put you there, does that stretch across? All right, pretty good. Come around, and up. All right, over. Let's get it on here. There. Around. Nice and tight. here. Okay. All right, and you can notice parts that are starting to bend or give and maybe reinforce those with a little bit of tape. What I encourage you guys to do is have someone who, in the group, whose job is to look for those weak points. Might even be a good idea to have the leader maybe making sure everything's on time, on schedule, just checking for some structural integrity issues and applying reinforcement there whenever we can. Okay, all right, that looks good. Got some bracing here, nice and tight. All right, let's go over here too. Again, we're trying to maintain these general shapes. All right, and over, okay. Here, over. Good. Here. Okay, let's see. Here and around. Let's see, will I even reach? Maybe right there. Okay. Up, over, tight, aggressive, taping, tight. I know y'all gonna roast me next Thursday about me saying aggressive taping, but you know what? It's whatever paints that picture in your mind. Tape with aggression. Right, Julie? You play soccer with aggression. We should also tape with aggression. Okay. I have been thinking about this the whole time. I'm gonna share with you now. I hate masking tape. This stuff does not tear well or efficiently or anything, and it's just a pain in my butt. So, loop it around right here. Again, if you want to use the method, this is actually pretty straightforward. I'll show you kind of what I'm doing. This one goes pretty fast. But basically, I take that piece of tape and I'll lay it over this end here, right? And then pull it around. So that'll actually make this go a lot smoother as I move my way on up to the top. So here, looped over and around, aggressive, tight taping down here. Again, pull it out, around, aggressive, tight taping. And the cool part about this, when you lay it out like that, is that you can do it pretty quick. As you see here, my speed's starting to pick up, because the more I do this, better I get at it. I don't spend my days making things out of popsicle sticks, but you know what? The more I do it, the more confident I feel. Now, watch this tower do just as bad as the first one, but I feel like it's gonna do good. Again, what am I doing here? I'm gonna tape over the end piece and then loop this around and aggressively tighten the tape. Tighten the tape. Okay. Oh, there's nothing on this side. What in the, look at that. Just bare bones. This is what we need leaders for. Alrighty then. That's a reference no one really gets anymore. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. All right. Mr. Reed's probably laughing at this point because I said alrighty then. Maybe Courtney, maybe Ms. Roberts, but let's see. All right, that's feeling a little loose. Maybe give it a little bit of extra aggression. Okay. All right, so what, ooh, see that? I give it a little tweak. I see there's some problems. Again, just reinforce one where you can. Let's see if I can get a full cup this time. Ooh, that does look loose too. One more. Now, remember, when you do this, you'll be doing this as a team, okay? So there'll be a lot of hands, which makes for light work, okay? Now, let's try this again. Oh, I gotta clean that up. Oh, nightmare. Okay, put on top, put a couple on the bottom, just put a couple on the bottom, make it stable. There we go. All right, is that all in the middle? It's good enough. Okay, here we go. Start dropping them in. Why are you using two hands? Just use one. All right. About halfway. Halfway. Three-quarters. And full cup. I'm not putting any more because I don't want it to fall, because then I gotta clean it all up. But anyways, look at this. I just added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 sticks. And now this thing is braced. There's no bending, right? So there's a couple things you can do here. You can do what I did, which was essentially build a base, build a top. Connect the two. However much time you have, that's how much or how many of these things you can kind of connect up. All right. When you guys are talking during the brainstorm session, you've been thinking about this. What base can I build? What shape? Okay, cool. Who's building the base? All right, cool. Who's building the top? All right, cool. Who's going to build the legs? You see these legs? You don't have to add them on one leg at a time, right? You can go ahead and build the legs. Hey, you build 2 legs, 3 legs along, right? You build 1 leg, 3 things along, okay? And then all you got to do once you have the pieces is just stick them together. And that's where you can check and feel for, right? Builders can do that, or the master builder can do that, and just feel for where the weaknesses are, okay? And tape those. And then once you got that, it's just a matter of putting the bracing on. And again, it's not overly complicated. And if all of you guys are working together and you all understand the major idea here and understand the brief, we should be good. So I'm actually pretty happy. That worked pretty well. Again, you could have cleaner lines on these things where they're taped, but I was rushing it here since I'm talking to you at the same time. I hope any of that made sense and hope some of it's helpful. So what I want you to do is, again, take this down. Mr. Reed gave you a whole bunch of tape. All right, so what I want you to do is I want you to take this back down. All right, get the sticks back together and practice. Practice good taping technique, good overlap. Practice making your base, making the legs, and then putting them together. Practice putting on bracing. Do let's say 3 towers, 4 towers. Do 3 different bases, 4 different bases. In fact, if anything, you could probably do a base here, a middle piece, and a top. You could do 3 triangles through this and kind of get the same experience. I'm a big fan of the bracing though, but you could easily do that because essentially a second triangle in the middle here would act like bracing, right? But anyways, think about these things, practice them, see what works. Just do it over and over again and focus on aggressive taping, overlap, nice clean lines, and getting some bracing in there. Make sense? I hope it does. Also, it's Friday. I'm tired, ready to go home and eat. Cool. All right. Hope this helps. Love you guys very much. Take care. And Julie, stop beating up my soccer players. Okay? Let them win sometimes. Thank you.